Welcome to Board Game Detectives. My name is Serge and today we'll talk about Anachrony. Excuse me? Who are you? I am you from the future. I had some free time, so I decided to bring you some coffee because I know that you want some. Anyway, have fun with the recording. Well, thank you. Or thank me. In my opinion, Anachrony is one of the best examples of how theme should be combined with mechanics. In this game, it is done beautifully. This game is amazing, and it definitely earns the blue gem rating from me. I think that all players who like medium to heavy games have to try Anachrony. Even if you don't like it, you have to know what the benchmark is. I highly recommend this game. Now let me tell you what I like in it. At first, let's take a look at the BGG stats. The game was released in 2017. It has overall rank of 47, which is very impressive. It is pretty heavy game. Its weight is 4. The designer is one of the designers, David Turci, which amongst many other games also co-authored Nucleum game in 2023. The story behind Anachrony is very cool. In some distant future, there was a cataclysmic event. An asteroid hits the Earth and eventually destroys it. It was not a regular asteroid. It was made of some special element called neutronium. That element was mysterious. It could affect time. So what happened? Huge amount of energy and matter went back in the history, and there was another explosion in the past from that event. The secondary explosion was also catastrophic. Almost all humanity died. Only 4 small groups of people survived. They ended up following different ideologies. You will be playing one of them. This new element, neutronium, was very special, and people quickly learned how to use it for time travel. They began time traveling back and forth in time. And this becomes the core idea in Anachrony. You are the leader of one of the 4 factions. You know that in the future there will be a cataclysmic event which will destroy the Earth. Now you are trying to develop the technology so that you can evacuate your people from Earth and move to a different planet. So you are here, round 1, and you know that the end of the world is coming over here. You are trying to develop the technology to escape the Earth, but you are short on resources. No worries. Future you can fly back in time and deliver you things that you are short on. This is done through these so-called warp tiles. You can request from future yourself any resources that you need or specialists. Let's say I want 2 of the resources. I would use the tiles, I would place them here, and ta-ta, future me comes back to me and gives me those resources. But flying back and forth in time is dangerous. Every round, the player who has the most of the warp tiles in each of the past periods gains a paradox tile for each of those. Gain 3, and you create an anomaly. Anomalies are bad. First off, they block a space on your player board, and 2, they would give you negative victory points at the end of the game. You can clear them, but it costs a lot of resources and you would have to sacrifice one of your specialists. So if you borrow a lot of resources from future self, you will be creating a lot of paradoxes, which will lead to a lot of anomalies. The only way to fix this is to actually go back in time now and return what you have borrowed from future self. That requires the technology for time travel. So let's talk how you get that. At the beginning of the game, each of the players has very limited resources and no advanced technologies. To do anything, they would have to go to the capital that holds all the advanced technologies, resources, and specialists. Unfortunately, after the second explosion, the life on Earth changed. It is not safe anymore to just walk outside. Now people have to use so-called exosuits if they want to go from their home to the capital. Well, Arguably, this exosuit looks lame, so I highly recommend upgrading to the plastic minis, which, in my opinion, look very cool, and I really love moving those minis around the map. Managing those exosuits is one of my favorite mechanics in this game. Every player has 6 of those, and every round they have to decide how many they want to send to the capital to compete with other players for those very attractive actions. So here's the problem. Number 1, it is very expensive to power up those exosuits. Problem number 2, every player has limited quantity of specialists, and now they have a dilemma whether to send them to the capital or to keep them at the home base and use in those new buildings that they were able to construct. This is a very difficult decision to make, and I feel like this makes big chunk of the strategy in this game. Yes, going to the capital is very expensive, but it is worth it. Let me quickly show you what you can get there. With the mining action, you can get resources that you need to construct new buildings. Some of the resources are random every round. Construct action allows you to build one of the 4 different types of the buildings that either allow you to travel back in time, or give you new resources, or give you some additional powers. Also, at the end of the game, each of those buildings would give you some victory points. Recruit action allows you to get more of the specialists. Scientist, engineer, administrator, or genius that can play a role of any of those. Having different types is important because they specialize in performing different actions. Like some actions would say that they need the scientist or the administrator to be done. Specialists are random every round. Research action will let you get so-called breakthroughs, which you will either use for victory points at the end of the game, or you will get so-called super projects, which is just another type of the building but with very powerful actions. To do the research, you will use very smart system with 2 dice, and you will pick one of them, the side that you need, and you will roll the other one. So some level of control, some luck. All in all, it plays very nicely. I like it a lot. Another cool mechanism which I really like is when your desired action is fully taken up, you can use one of those 2 spots to get what you need. Here you can trade resources with nomads, and here you can purify water. Water is very important. You need it for a lot of different actions, plus to keep your people happy. Every time you use your worker, they become exhausted, and you have 2 options from there. Number 1, you can be a dictator and just push them to work, and they will do for some time. Every time you will be losing victory points, and if you do it long enough, they will start dying. Option number 2, you can be a good boss, and you can give them water. And if you do so, they will also go to work happy and fed, and you will be gaining victory points for that. So this is also a huge piece of the strategy in this game. Also, I forgot to mention, every time you resolve the resource that you sent to yourself back in time, for any action like that, you are scoring extra victory points, which is also a big piece of the strategy in this game. Hopefully, you've been taking full advantage of all those cool actions, because after 4 rounds, asteroid comes, and things change completely. First off, 2 of the 6 exosuit charging pods become unavailable, so you can send maximum 4 exosuits to the capital at this point. Secondly, the main 3 actions become one-time use only. Once all of them are used, that's the game over. And finally, we have the evacuation action. That's what you've been working on for the 4 rounds. You've been developing your technologies to be able to leave the Earth and go to safety. Each faction has their own requirements on what they should do to be able to evacuate. For example, this faction has to construct 3 of the life support buildings, the blue ones. When they do so, they can evacuate. However, another bonus in this, which is very important, this faction, for every gold and genius, they can get extra 3 points. So this faction is incentivized to get more gold and more geniuses to maximize on this evacuation action, which is huge part of strategy for the whole game. So here we are. Anachrony is one of the best examples of how theme should be combined with mechanics. This game does this beautifully. Every action thematically makes sense. I really love it. I highly recommend Anachrony. Now, we have only one item left. The coffee. I have to go to the store and buy it, and send it back in time. If we don't do this, we will create a time travel paradox. And trust me, we don't want to do this. So, thank you so much for watching. I'm on my way to save the world from time travel anomalies. See ya!